Hey everyone, welcome to Tech Altitude. After a long wait and a long yes and no, finally OnePlus has just announced its budget smartphone. Now instead of OnePlus Z, it's now called OnePlus Nord. And OnePlus has actually confirmed that they are not going to settle with just one mobile phone in this Nord lineup, but there are going to be much more mobile phones coming up in this Nord lineup of phones. Now starting price of this phone is 25,000 rupees here in India. Should you buy it? Let's break this down, starting with the design. The design of the phone is pretty average. Standard OnePlus design with a vertical camera array. All glass sandwich design, super clean, super basic. There's nothing much to say. Actually, in MKBHD's podcast confirmed that they did go with a super basic or a super standard design with the OnePlus Nord to save more cost and make the phone more affordable. Actually, Peter Lau also showcased some of the design prototypes that they have been working for this OnePlus Nord. Making things completely different means more research, more engineering efforts, and ultimately more cost and more work to put into it. So after all, this design is not that bad, but it's about average. At the end of the day, the materials used in this phone should be real good, because after all, it's a OnePlus product and OnePlus is the best Chinese manufacturer in terms of mobile phones and in terms of its build quality. By looking at the design, it just reminds me of some other smartphones like this Oppo Reno 3. So yeah, they are sharing some components with other Chinese smartphones. Now onto the display. It's a 6.4-inch 1080 by 2400 resolution AMOLED display, which has a 90Hz refresh rate and a 180Hz touch sampling rate. Well, this is a pretty new display, one of its kind and resolution. And for the first impression, it looks good. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as any flagship device like the OnePlus 8 Pro, which has an 120Hz refresh rate and a 2K resolution. But for the price, this thing holds up really well. At a starting price of 25,000 rupees, you can't ask for more. With an AMOLED display, you got it all, and the display is manufactured by Samsung. Now, Samsung is known for its best quality manufacturing of AMOLED displays, and you get the same thing in this phone. With an aspect ratio of 20:9, the phone is really thin in the width and a little bit longer, or taller should I say. With that, the phone also has an in-display fingerprint sensor and a punch hole cutout at its left top side with 2 selfie cameras. Speaking of cameras, the phone has 4 cameras at its back. Now, we have already seen this 4 camera setup in other budget phone like the Poco X2, the Redmi Note 9 Pro, or the Poco M2. Now, the primary camera of this phone is a 48 megapixel with a wide lens, an 8 megapixel sensor with an ultra wide lens, a 5 megapixel sensor for depth detection, or should I say the portrait mode, and a 2 megapixel sensor for macro. The camera performance should be decent. Like I said, they are the same in the Redmi Note 9, the Poco X2, the Poco M2, and the list goes on. However, what makes the Nord's camera really better could be the image processing of OnePlus. Now see, hardware is one thing with cameras. It has its own set of limitations. But image processing, however, is completely different thing. Well, image processing starts when after you click the picture. That means when you click a picture on your smartphone, when you click the shutter button, the processing or the time which it takes to display the picture in your gallery is the time it takes for the processing of image. Now, image processing could be really different for every different smartphone. And for the track record, OnePlus's image processing is really good with its Oxygen OS. And in general, OnePlus is known for improving its cameras over time with software updates. So there's nothing to worry about these cameras, because if the hardware is pretty average, OnePlus could really improve the camera performance with its updates, with its software updates over time. Specifications: Snapdragon 765G, up to 12 gigabytes of RAM and up to 256 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, Snapdragon 765G is not going to give you that flying performance that other Qualcomm Snapdragons 800 series processors give you, but you'll get a pretty average or a pretty decent performance with the Snapdragon 765G. But don't expect more from this. With that, you also get a fast charging from OnePlus, which is called the Warp Charger, which is actually the industry best fast charging from any other brand right now. You don't have a wireless charging, which defines the affordable price of this phone. And speaking about the processor one more time, actually this processor is also in the other budget phones like the Poco X2 or the Redmi Note 9 Pro. That's about it with the specifications and all the relatable information from the OnePlus Nord. Now, should you buy it? Well, tough question. See, usually with other brands, what they do is they tend to give us that one special thing in their budget smartphone. It could be that one halo thing or that one stone in the piece of jewelry which stands out. That one thing could be a one feature or one specification. In terms of Apple, with the iPhone SE, what they did is they installed or they gave us that A13 Bionic chip, which is directly taken over from their flagship smartphone, the iPhone 11 Pro. In terms with Google, what they did is they arguably did give the best camera in the budget Pixel phone, the Pixel phone 3a or the Pixel phone 4a, which is coming up in next month. The best camera is directly taken over from their flagship device, the Pixel phone. With the Nord, you don't get that one highlighting feature or specification, but what you do get is mixed bag full of above average of everything. Like the design, which is pretty decent, above average. The cameras really good, but not the top of the line. The display is actually good, but also not the top of the line. No 120 Hz refresh rate. And at the cherry of the top is that Oxygen OS and that 30-watt Warp Charger. Actually, you can't really complain here with all this specification from OnePlus Nord. So if you're someone who is comparing the OnePlus Nord with iPhone SE, then you might be wrong. The iPhone SE is completely different device. You get the best processor, but again, the display is 4 or 6 years old. We don't have that fast blazing fast charger, the Warp Charger like OnePlus Nord has, and it's pretty expensive. So if you are looking for a budget iPhone, then iPhone SE is the phone for you. If you're someone who is looking out for the best performance in the smartphone for gaming, for example, then OnePlus Nord is not for you. You should probably go with a phone which has a Snapdragon 800 series processor from Qualcomm, like the phone Realme X3, which has the Snapdragon 855 Plus processor from last year, or the Poco F2 Pro, which has the Snapdragon 865. About cameras, if you're someone who is looking out for the best camera performance in this budget lineup, I'll say you should wait. The Pixel 4a is just around the corner, and if you're ready to wait for some time and spend some extra money, then Pixel 4a is the phone you should go for. It is going to have the best cameras in the smartphone directly taken over from the flagship Pixel. But is the Pixel 4a coming to India? Well, that's the question only Google can answer. By launching OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro at a slightly higher price than usual, OnePlus has actually created a void in this 20 to 40,000 rupees price bracket, where there's no dominant force or no dominant brand which is taking over this price bracket. Now, OnePlus has actually tried their bit to take advantage of this vacuum that they have created. OnePlus Nord will certainly enjoy all this brand value of OnePlus, which is created by its predecessor flagship killer devices and the current generation flagship mobile phones. But if you ask me, is that a groundbreaking device? In my opinion, it's a no. It's not a groundbreaking device like the Poco F2 or the Poco F1. So at the end, if you're someone who is a big fan of OnePlus, you like their design philosophy, you like what they do, you like Oxygen OS, and if you don't care about specification, all the top end specifications, then OnePlus Nord is just for you. So go ahead, go buy the OnePlus Nord if you're someone who likes all of this. There you have it, all about the OnePlus Nord. The smartphone season is just about to start and it's raining smartphones already. We have the Asus ROG Phone 3, which has been announced 2 days ago. the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, which will be announced on 5th of August, and obviously the next iPhone and Pixel devices are just around the corner. So a lot of things to talk about in near future, so definitely subscribe to watch all of it. That's been it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.